This is the comedy show where Americans in America covering American news are called foreign agents. I could tell you I'm dressed up as an evil pirate for Halloween. Or I could confess I didn't know this weekend was Halloween. Let's get started. What's going on in the world? The state which houses the 5th largest economy on the planet is completely on fire. There are protests rocking most countries, and the US president might be impeached for being as corrupt as all of the presidents. Man, I really thought he was gonna buck the trend. Really did. So while all that hellstorm is going on, at least, the FBI is behaving itself, right? Well, funny you should ask. There's a new report out by the civil liberties group Defending Rights and Dissent. The report is a detailed catalog of known FBI First Amendment abuses and political surveillance since 2010, when the Department of Justice's Office of Inspector General published the last official review of Bush-era abuses. The report found that the FBI has devoted disproportionate resources to the surveillance of nonviolent civil society groups and protest movements, particularly on the left, using its mandate to protect national security to target scores of individuals posing no threat but opposing government policies and practices. Despite the fact right-wingers are America's deadliest terrorists. You're looking in the wrong direction, ass. Right-wing extremists like white supremacists kill far more people in America than left-wing terrorists do. It's gotten so bad that if I even see a white sheet, I shit myself. At least that's what I tell my lady friend every time I poop the bed. I'm like, ah! The Klan has struck again! But yes, right-wing terrorists kill far more than left-wing terrorists. I mean, is there even such a thing as a left-wing terrorist? What the f*** do they do? Replace the fuse to your bombs with lavender-scented candles? They're the worst. And this isn't even getting to the real point that terrorism in general is incredibly rare. In America, you're more likely to die by choking than to be killed by a foreign terrorist. Then again, who's to say ISIS isn't filling American grocery stores with difficult-to-chew microwavable fajitas? They'll stop at nothing. All this speaks to an important fact that your media will never tell you. The FBI is not in the job of protecting you. They're in the job of protecting the ruling class system, right? So they don't focus on things that really harm us. If they did, they'd be running around swatting cell phones out of your hands right before you walk into traffic or something. They'd be infiltrating that seafood shack I was at last week right before I swallowed that black market raw oyster. They'd be like, you're gonna regret that. No, they don't care about us. They care about maintaining the current power structure. The report notes the FBI continues to target political dissent with a broad mandate, little oversight, and next to no transparency. The FBI continues to routinely conflate dissent with terrorism. In one case, a few years ago, the FBI raided the homes of peace activists across the Midwest. An undercover agent had infiltrated the group, but unfortunately, failed to find any plans by the activists to carry out violence, and so proceeded to come up with a plan herself. God damn it! It is so hard these days to find a good anti-war group that wants to commit mass violence. It's almost as if they're opposed to violence. I guess you gotta feel bad for the FBI, trying to find violent plots among peace activists. It's like trying to find sex at Comic-Con. You look for a while, and then you start humping a chair leg. That's not fair. I actually hear they have a lot of sex at Comic-Con. Very awkward sex. Where his metal claws are digging into her tail. It's terrible. The sting operations the FBI now favor include infiltrating groups they don't like, then encouraging the members to plan to commit violent acts and even providing them the materials needed to do it. Then they arrest them. Many of the people they successfully talk into these mentally unstable acts are, as it turns out, mentally unstable. A 10-second Google search will find numerous examples of the FBI trying to force mentally ill young people into committing terror acts. But maybe I'm being a little too hard on them. It is true that without the FBI, there's no telling how many of the FBI's plots might not have been stopped. How lucky we are. Not only does the FBI continue to go after protest movements, as they did in the 1960s with the infamous COINTELPRO scandal, they aren't even telling peaceful protesters when there are plots against their lives. The FBI was aware that an organization, possibly a law enforcement agency, had plans to assassinate leaders of the Occupy movement, and the Bureau did nothing about it. While the FBI has always been engaged in First Amendment abuses, the current Attorney General's guidelines from 2008 facilitate these abuses. Under the guidelines, the FBI is allowed to conduct investigations called assessments of U.S. persons without factual predicate of criminal conduct or a threat to national security. It's just an assessment by people with guns whose sole purpose in life is to find a reason to ruin yours. It sounds kind of like sitting down for an assessment with a box of hungry snakes. What? It's just an assessment. Put your hand in the box and see if they like you. In fact, I remember when the FBI sat down for an assessment a few years ago with a man named Ibrahim Tadashev. He was unarmed and they were in his house. They ended up shooting him 7 times, killing him. I'm going to say that assessment went poorly. Well, at least thanks to the few remaining rights we have in this country, I assume the FBI can't use race, ethnicity, religion, or First Amendment protected speech as a factor to open an investigation or to attend public meetings without disclosing their identities. Here's more from the report. The guidelines also allow FBI agents to use race, ethnicity, religion, or First Amendment protected speech as a factor to open an investigation. God damn it! This is completely insane. They're allowed to use race alone to decide someone should be investigated? Larry, oh my God! Look at that! That guy over there is black! Pretty suspicious. I mean, who would choose to be black in America? The job of the FBI is to protect the status quo, the ruling elite, our wealthy overlords, and they view anything that is in serving that purpose as suspicious, if not criminal. Coming to you from Washington, D.C., the belly of the beast is a redacted tonight.